Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, residents of Easton, this is Bill Ames, the host, or I should say co-host, of Film Connection.
Right.
Film Connection is now in its 22nd year here at ECAT. We're proud of that. We've interviewed many people who have different parts of the media world, actors, producers. We're very fortunate today to have a producer of a film join us, Mr. Joe Taft. Welcome to the show, Joe. And I'd like to kick it over to my co-host of many years, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, to start it off with Joe. Priscilla?
Well, thank you, Billy.
Bill.
That's an endearment that goes back to when we were both very in our preteens.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it's permissible. Anyway, Joe, welcome. Joe Taft has been working here as a videographer and cameraman and all about editor and so forth for ECAT now for a considerable amount of time. And he has, in his spare time, been working to produce a film. That's his passion, that's his love. He interviewed me on growing up in Easton this past year and did this outstanding job. So I'm sure that this film that he's working on and that's premiering October 13th will be also show how passionate he is about his work. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you so much for having me, Priscilla and Bill. I really appreciate you guys having me on the show, and it's a privilege and an honor.
So tell us a little bit about your background.
My background, okay.
Yes.
So my background is purple. No, I'm just kidding. So my background comes from, I'm from Rockland, Massachusetts. I'm 24 years old, and I went to Curry College, went to Rockland High School before that, and I was a communication major at Curry. And while at Curry, I didn't really know what exactly it was that I was looking to do. And that tends to happen to a lot of people that go to school. When I went, I was initially thinking that I was going to be a journalist. I thought, I'm a pretty all right writer, and I like telling stories, but also chasing stories. But I didn't know exactly how much I enjoyed telling stories until I was, exploring electives and different courses at Curry, and I realized, movies are really cool. And, I enjoyed them as a kid, but I never realized just how much they really impacted me until, getting to college and having some people point me in the direction of hey, look out for this and look out for that. And once I did, and you get introduced to those kinds of movies, it changed my perspective, and that is kind of my background how it pertains to film and how it all got started. Because, to be honest, I never really thought that I would have this connection to movies until it kind of just happened. And when it did, I didn't run away or back down. I was just like, let's try this, because it's a challenge. And the major of communication is quite broad, and I'm able to do quite a bit with it, fortunately. And if I decide, this isn't really for me, well, you know what? There's other things that I could try as well. So fortunately, there's that.
Well, it's got to start somewhere, department too, right? And
Exactly.
that's producing films. You have the financial piece, you have the creative piece, you have the storyboard piece, you have all sorts of different aspects, which is, I think, what fascinates the people who do get fascinated with it, are fascinated by the multifaceted
There's so much.
nation. Don't you think, Priscilla?
Yes, and I know my son is a film producer, and he's located in LA, and he started out thinking he wanted to be a director. And he did direct in high school and so forth. But then he found out that the producer has the power over the director. And he said, I don't want to be under anybody else's power. But I don't know if he realized how many different faces he would have, or how many different tasks he would have. So it's pitching the idea, or finding a story, or finding a script, getting writers to rewrite the script.
Raising money.
Forget
that one.
Right, and that is a big chunk, pardon the pun. And then casting, and being on site. Most films are 5 months, and then the editing process at the end. So it's just a lot of work. Now, if you have more than one film going at the same time, you know, you're all over the place.
Right. I get the picture.
Get the picture?
Joey, back
Yeah.
to you, Joey, here.
Yeah.
If I may call you Joey.
Whatever,
Is that okay?
whatever works. Yeah, totally. Joey works.
People, okay, Joey.
Yeah, sure.
So tell us about your film, the synopsis. And
I'd love to.
everything.
So it's a drama short film.
Did you write it?
I wrote it. I wrote the screenplay. Me and my father basically did the story together. And it's
So-
original story by him and I. He is the horror buff. I like films. He likes films a lot as well, and he's liked them for a very long time. But he is the horror guy. He's been infatuated with them since I couldn't even tell you when. And so at pretty much every turn, I went to him for, you know, developing the story, but also making sure things were being executed to his standards, because he's a massive horror film fan. And so
What's a horror film?
a horror film, maybe like The Shining.
Okay.
Personally,
that type.
that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
I enjoy a lot. There was quite a bit of inspiration for this one that came from The Shining.
Yeah.
There's quite a few others. I mean, there's like horror franchises such as like Saw or Scream or
Texas
like
Chainsaw Murder.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Okay.
is a huge one that my dad absolutely adores.
I've
He
seen
loves
that.
that one.
I've
seen And-
I saw it in New York City, and guy goes into the house in Texas, you know, and the crowd, the
Yeah.
audience all goes, "Don't go in, don't go in." And he goes in, and everybody
Yeah.
says, "You fool."
You idiot.
But hey,
Yeah, your son is a horror guy himself.
Yeah, he's done his share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's not his favorite genre. But
Yeah.
for companies he was working for, that's what they asked him to do. So House of Wax with
So-
Paris Hilton.
so you and your dad are sitting on the sofa thinking, "We got to come up with a story here,
Yeah.
right?"
Right.
So then what?
So the way that it went down was basically, it was about a year ago. It was during the summer of 2022, and we were heading up to Hampton Beach for vacation. And we were going to meet my mom and our friends. Me and my dad are in the car, we're driving up, and I guess we got like sick of the radio or whatever. We turned that off, and we started just trying to come up with some kind of a horror thing. We didn't really know what it was going to be or why or how, but we were trying. And as the ideas developed, it was just one of those things that it wouldn't go away. I mean, the entire vacation, we're like, oh, but what if then in the third act, this character? So it wouldn't escape us. We couldn't put it down. And so by the end of that vacation, like, we had pretty much an outline. Mm-hmm. And once I got back from vacation, I started writing the screenplay and putting together the overarching themes and things like that, but I didn't have an actor. And it wasn't until New Year's Eve specifically, that we cast our lead actor, Mr. GT Nightcrawler. And he is fantastic. He is an entertainer. He is a man of many skills and passions and talents, and we absolutely adore him, and he's been fantastic for us, and I'm looking forward to everyone seeing what he brings to the table with his performance, because he was amazing. And he was so supportive and on board with us, because it's not always easy. I mean, this film will be introducing him in his first film role, mm-hmm. And he's in his 60s, so he's mm-hmm. definitely, but he's an entertainer. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got those skills and attributes. So when he said that he was willing to hop on and do it, we were.
How'd you find him?
He is a friend. He is a family friend as well. So basically, my parents. The short and skinny of it is, when I was growing up, they competed in barbecue cooking competitions, and that was a huge thing that my family was into as I was growing up. And they had a team, and that was, and we're still friends with the people from that team to this day. He wasn't on the team. He didn't even actually have a cooking team of his own. He was kind of the traveling pepper and spice salesman. And he's just an absolute...
real?
I wouldn't lie to you. This is all totally true.
I mean, that's what he did for a living?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good guy to have. I mean,
Yeah.
Spice.
Spice of
Oh, yeah.
life.
Barbecue,
Oh, yeah.
cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. My name is Harrison Young, and after 13 years of talk show experience, I seek to bring you the best in interviews with some of the very best guests around, including, and here we are, experts.
I've seen thousands of demons actually come out of the mirror one time.
Wow. Musical guests and artists.
If I say how I feel, would you really listen?
And interesting characters of all types.
I threw that kid across the classroom. Look, he didn't try that ever again.
Wow. Join me at Topic Time on your Easton cable station anytime they want to play it. And what I understand, that's quite a few times a day. And I love it.
Hi there, I'm Gail Devins, and join me as we discover all the businesses that made Easton great. This is a wonderful, wonderful place. I cannot wait. I want to do it. I want to go there. I am definitely coming back, and I know you will too, because I'm telling you something. It is absolutely amazing in here. What a wonderful way to discover Easton. It's right here in Easton. Showing at noon on Mondays, 2 p.m. on Tuesdays, and 11 a.m. on Fridays, only on ECAT.
Hi, I'm Ron Van Dam. I've been in radio for 3 decades now and have been doing a daily podcast-style show for a few years. But once a week, I come to the ECAT studio where they give me wine and cheese. Hey, welcome to the program. How are you? Good to be with you. Hey, you're looking good today. Thanks for being here. Make yourself comfortable. This won't take too long. It'll be a little bit painful for you, but in the long run, it's important for you to go through this. And I do a TV version of the podcast. I talk about what's going on in the world and in the area and give my opinions on things. That's both something to look forward to and also a warning. So tune in to see me move my mouth while I talk. Who knows? We might have something in common. Probably not, but you never know. Catch my show here, The Ron Van Dam Show, right here on ECAT.
It's the Ron Van Dam Show. Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
Welcome to Service Matters, a weekly radio show that talks about the good things that are happening in local communities and beyond.
Since 1978, the Easton Food Pantry has been dedicated to providing food to our neighbors in times of need. As long as there's hungry people in our community, our doors are open, our hearts will be open to help.
We also like to talk about the good things that people do to make a difference, and in many cases, to make dreams real for folks out there in need.
Just to chat about, as you say, some of the good things in life, there's some of the good things, the great things, and the happy things.
And certainly watch us on ECAT, Easton Community Access Television.
Stephanie Weinstein.
And I'm Meredith Keach.
And we're realtors.
With Coldwell Banker in Easton.
And want to be movie stars.
Pretty much. I'd actually prefer to be a rock star.
Well, yeah.
Do not hit panic.
The market is not crashing. It smells of stardom.
It does smell like stardom in here.
Yeah.
Right. But it's very important as you age to have women friends, because women are always your support system.
Hi, I'm Jen from Fantasy Crafts. Turn your average household items into fun for the whole family. Let your imagination run wild. It was my decision. You be quiet over there. Fantasy Crafts, playing Monday at 3 p.m., Wednesday at 1 p.m., only at ECAT.
He always likes to talk about the free-range jalapenos. But anyway, enough about GT. He's an absolute marvel of a man, and I'm so thankful to have him on board. And he was an absolute, anybody can attest, he was so fun on set. We cast him in, on New Year's when he was at our New Year's event that we had at our house, and we were so lucky and thankful to bring him on. And he bought in. It was like, at the time, we didn't even know exactly what his age would be or what his inspirations or motivations would be. But once we got that it was him, it kind of just all made sense in me and my dad and I's collective movie brain, story brain here.
So now it's going to premiere October 13th at Queeset House, right?
That's right, 13th at Queeset House.
Okay, of October. And ECAT's covering it, of course.
Yes.
And where does it go from there?
So on the 13th, it will be showing at the Queeset House, like you said. It'll be a more condensed screening. And then the following night, we will be showing it at the place where we shot the film, which I'll get into a little bit. We're going to be going back to the Sandpaper Factory in Rockland where we shot the film. Thankfully, the fourth floor artists and the people at Sandpaper Factory were so amazing and willing to let us use it as a location. So again, they're going to let us use it to screen the film as well. We're going to be able to get more people in there. We're going to have some themed drinks and refreshments and popcorn machine and a whole bunch of fun stuff. And then the following day, the 15th, is when it will be worldwide on the internet. That we're going to release it all to the world via social media.
I love it.
And
worldwide distribution.
Exactly.
In a heartbeat.
You know it. Yeah, because you don't really need a massive studio.
You don't need
just
to sell
post
the
on the
European rights.
You got it.
All that sort of BS.
We're going straight to DVD. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. That was our big joke throughout the production.
So tell us about the character arc of the lead person. How did you develop it? I mean, a horror story is probably different from a love story.
Definitely. Definitely.
So tell us about the character arc that is what basically keeps people watching.
Got you. So the movie is called The Innkeeper, and the main character is referred to as the Innkeeper. In the script, it is also referred to as the Innkeeper. And we wanted to not give him, a true name. I know his name. My dad knows his name, but we don't really like to give that out too much. And GT Nightcrawler, who acted, he knows his name as well. But we didn't think that was as important because the character he's a bit of a static character. I don't want to give away too much, but some characters, they have these huge character arcs where but in the beginning they're downtrodden,
pathetic,
and exactly
useless,
just
no
a
hope.
waste of space.
Yeah.
What are they doing in this movie?
God.
But then by the end, you want to be that person, right? Or they did something really miraculous and admirable. Like I thought, I don't know if that would fit into my story, into my dad and I's story. So when we put it together, we decided what if we just, in some stories, some characters stay the same throughout. And sometimes that can be a very good thing, or it can be their downfall. So,
give an example of it. I watched. I went to a filmmaking seminar once, and the script they used was Jerry Maguire.
Interesting.
Who starts out as Tom Cruise, one of his great movies, really.
Yeah.
As Cuba Gooding, or the famous line, "Show me the money."
Show me the money.
Show me the money. So.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and his girlfriend's dumping him and all this stuff, and he's got clients like Cuba Gooding who are busting his chops, and so that's the character arc there. So it's always a great way to come at a movie in a discussion like this. So tell us more about this character.
Yeah, he is a character who, at the beginning, you get the vibe. I didn't want to explain it all through exposition, right? They say show, don't tell. And I wanted this film to be very, not like that it was, super technical of a film, but I wanted to stick to the bones and keep it pretty, like the bare bones, and keep it pretty simple. I didn't want to get all over the place with narrative and themes and have things get out of hand. And because I've never really done this before, outside of college. Every film I've ever worked on before was a college film that was for a grade. And it was a group effort, like this whole thing, bringing the character like that we talked about, like figuring out exactly who he is and what and how to show it, you know, like how to get the audience on board with, okay, I get who this guy is, you know, but then like, you know, adding different layers to it throughout the process as well was definitely something that we wanted to find a way to
So you have to
incorporate.
create a conflict that he has to resolve, right? So tell us
That's right.
about that conflict.
He is working the night shift at the local inn, thus being the innkeeper, and he has a list, and he's got some stuff to do. And there's some supernatural forces in that building that maybe have something to say about the things that he's trying to accomplish.
So special effects.
I guess special effects, sure.
Or
yes.
sound.
Special, yeah, I would call it special effects, but no CGI, no computer generated imagery. Like, you know, we don't have a big budget, right? This is as bare bones. I was going to call it guerrilla filmmaking. It's like when you were talking about the editing process and the sound process and I mean, I had an amazing crew around me. But you still have to put on a lot of hats when you're doing a movie like this at this stage.
Right.
You know, your son's a producer. He had tried directing. When I was in college, I didn't even know that I wanted to direct. I was just a camera guy. I was a videographer, camera operator, things like that. And you know, bringing that crew together and just and figuring out how we were going to accomplish this goal as a group was really the most satisfying thing, and the character, I think, benefits from it. You know,
So the character gets in this conflict with these metaphysical off-stage voices and stuff
Sure.
like that. And then what happens? You can pull your punch, but more or less what happens?
Yeah, so basically, you know, the innkeeper, there's some events that occur throughout the night that he is questioning or skeptical of, but he tends to not think it's that big of a deal. He redirects it. He feels as though, you know what? It's all in my head. You know, it can't really be haunted, right? Because like no one really thinks they're in a horror movie. And so that's kind of how he feels. He's like, oh, like, come on. Like,
Tish tosh.
But that's, okay, but I want to caution you. I don't want you giving away the ending or anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, why not? I mean,
Because.
So how many other characters are there in this?
Not too many. Not too many. We keep it tight. There are only 3. We, throughout the process of this film, were trying to look at different elements, like, for example, our location, the inn, as it is referred to in the film. We almost treated the inn like a character because there are only so many things that are present throughout the duration of the runtime, and the inn itself has an impact on the story, and there are other parts of the building that have impacts on the story. So, but actual personal people, there's 3.
Well, you know, he's talking about developing a character. I had my, you're going to laugh, but I had my first exposure to OpenAI the other day.
Really?
And I got to say,
What was the name?
OpenAI, this is artificial intelligence, you know, Chat GPT or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing in terms of developing characters and personalities. Maybe you don't use it.
Well, it's really bizarre, you know, because you see what it can do in an instant, right? But at the same time, you have corporations, studio heads that won't pay their writers because they think that maybe AI is the future when it
You're a
comes to these
producer,
things.
though.
Well-
That's certainly true, but I mean, you got to come up with an idea because, like I say, you got plot, you got characters.
That's right.
You know, so it's
absolutely
it's not that unidimensional. But so you could go to Chat GPT, say it's going to be a horror story about a night clerk at a hotel in Syosset, New York, or we're at Rockland, and it's in this building, and I mean, you could get some ideas. I'm not
Definitely.
saying it would write it
Right.
for you because obviously it wouldn't, but you could get unbelievable ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of.
Yeah, it can be a mode of inspiration. And I mean, you look at, for example, the art that AI creates as well. can be super detailed and crazy. I mean, I can't draw, right? I mean, I can draw like a little bit, you know, but I'm not doing it. Every artist has their main draw, what they're good at, why are they getting paid the big bucks? I'm not getting paid any money, but why do they get put out on that platform? Why are they out there, right? So
top billing.
Exactly, right. And so right now, of course, I'm putting on all different kinds of hats, like I mentioned, but eventually I'd like to find what is my central plan, I guess. And I wanted to make mention, my cousin, Brendan, is a film producer and writer in New York. Wow. And so he lives in Brooklyn. And my cousin Brendan is just kind of getting, I don't want to say just getting onto the scene. He's been making films for a while, since I was this big. But he and his partner, film partner, Laura, just came out with their first feature film. It was presented by Shudder. It was also a horror film. It just released in theaters this past week, actually.
Oh, what's the name?
It's called Birth, Rebirth. Birth/Rebirth is directed by Laura Moss, one of the upcoming film directors, and they are absolutely amazing, as is my cousin Brendan.
Do you think your cousin Brendan would come on our show?
Maybe. He's not always around, but if he has some time, I would, because they are on strike right now.
Is his last name Taft?
O'Brien.
O'Brien.
Brendan O'Brien.
Canadians.
Irish.
Just joking.
Canadian, sorry.
Well, that's
Don't have time to sit down and watch ECAT programs? Don't worry, ECAT has got you covered. That's right, ECAT has
Podcast!
Yes! ECAT Podcast Channel has your favorite shows that you could listen to. Whether you want to chill and listen to the Ron Van Dam Show and hear him talk about what's bothering him that day, or the show hosted by local legends Stephanie Weinstein and Meredith Keach, where they talk about anything and everything, or take a listen to the weekly news hosted by Jack Ryan and Abby Kitchenham. Stay tuned in with Tiger Talk hosted by all of our Ames students. Community Forum is where their host Priscilla talks about all things Easton. Easton residents can also find government meetings about various topics. You can find the podcast on Podbean and all your favorite podcast platforms. Just by searching ECAT or the ECAT podcast, you can find it all. The ECAT podcast channel is powered by Podbean, so either in the car ride or walking around town, you can always catch what's going on with ECAT. Happy listening!
In 2023, Easton is a tight-knit community of 25,000 people. But with the hustle and bustle of modern life, it's easy to forget our past. A time when Easton's population was 6,000.
Everybody knew who everybody
everybody
was.
And there was respect.
There was respect for everyone.
When kids enjoyed great freedom and independence.
Everybody was poor at today's standards, but we all were in the same boat and we enjoyed life.
So join me, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, as I explore what makes Easton so very special with some of its lifetime residents.
I think Easton has so much to offer, and if you're living in a community, you have to know it.
Watch Growing Up in Easton Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Friday at 9 p.m. See you then.
Welcome back to ye old masterpiece puppet theater, Easton Edition. Tonight's tale, we have a beautiful ballerina with a quandary and a tiger who is most helpful. Let's join the action.
Oh me, oh my, how can I get my message out to the community? How?
Hey, how's it going?
Terrible. Oh, woe is me. Woe, I say.
Well, what's the problem?
I have this terrific, important message to get out to the community, and I just don't know how to reach everyone.
That's not a problem. That's easy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, here in Easton, we have a great use force for community members to share their voice with everyone. ECAT.
Is this a cat thing?
No,
ECAT equals Easton Community Access Television, our community's own television station exclusively for Easton residents.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not really tech savvy.
Oh, I know. But that's not really a problem either. The folks at ECAT will train you on everything. Cameras, studio, editing, the works.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah way. They can even put your message on a bulletin board so when shows are not airing, your message can be read by everyone.
That's great, but I don't have that kind of cash.
It's all free to the residents of Easton.
No way.
Yes, way.
Awesome.
It really is. What's this important message anyway?
2 words, my kitty. Party.
You want to advertise a party?
No. I want to let everyone know about my super awesome community block party. Yeah.
Thank you again for joining us on Ye Old Masterpiece Puppet Theater. And please come into ECAT and make television.
There's a storm.
Join me, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, to explore the town of Easton and its interesting, engaging, ordinary, and extraordinary people, and meet a smorgasbord of guests, including artists, authors, musicians, business owners, community organizations, clergy, local leaders, etc., etc., etc. Community Forum at 3 p.m. on Thursdays and 1:30 p.m. on Saturdays. See you then.
That's
I didn't get
fascinating.
it.
So how long is this film?
My film is, right now, it has a runtime of 22 minutes, including credits.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were writing it, usually when you write a screenplay, what I've learned is that they usually go for about a page a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Some very famously are longer, some are shorter. So mine was around 12 pages, so I was expecting it to be about a 12-minute long film. But I realized that my screenplay was full of a lot of, he walks down the hallway. And it doesn't take very long to write that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's, GT, he's not the fastest guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it can be lengthened out and stuff. You hear like in some screenplays, they'll just write like in the early stages, oh, they fight just because they got to get through it, and they got to get to the next story beat. So there was some of that, but I totally thought it was fine. The fact that my movie ended up a little bit longer than the original screenplay. I'm sure maybe a producer of like a studio might not feel that, but that doesn't matter right now.
Yeah.
I'm just working on my skills.
Yeah.
So you're doing the filming.
Yeah, so I did. There was, that partially. I was the director. Most of the time I was the camera operator, but I had a first assistant camera, first AC as they refer to them, and I had their shots throughout the movie that were operated by other crew members as well. Several of them, to be honest. There were ones that I couldn't quite fit into this crevice, so I asked my first assistant director, Matt, to get the shot. And then even there were even some handheld shots that I just couldn't quite get the blocking and the footwork. I got loud feet, My dad calls them clodhoppers. But so I couldn't get the shot, and I just kept trying, and I'm like, I looked to Wyatt Fain, who works here at ECAT with us. He's one of our wonderful crew members. And I was like, Wyatt, you're light on your feet. Let's get you this shot. And he did it. It took him a couple tries, but he got it. And, it just goes to show that, like, we're all kind of pulling our weight, but not in that way that I mentioned, that we're all top billing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're all putting on different hats. We're all trying to be multifaceted and just make this picture no matter what it takes, because,
So
it's the goal.
So tell us, what does the future hold for Joe Taft?
Oh my goodness.
What's your vision?
I see myself as a producer, a video producer of some sorts, and a storyteller. Like, genuinely, I mean, even though, you know, going back to the journalism thing, like, that's storytelling in and of itself. It's a little bit different. It's nonfiction. There's different elements. It's just a different kind of storytelling, right? And so I realized that there are different kinds. There's different mediums of storytelling, you know, whether it be digital, written word, spoken word, a play, whatever it is, a movie, a TV show. There's so many different ways to tell a story. A documentary. So many different ways to tell a story nowadays, especially in 2023 with all the technology surrounding us at all times. Sometimes the most simple stories can stand out to us now, and it really just depends on like where your influences come from and what your vision is and what you're trying to put to they used to say put to film, but I didn't shoot my movie on film. I shot it on digital.
Yeah, those were the days. Film, a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some would argue that the digital is maybe simpler, but I don't know because I've never used film. I would really like to, though. It would be
They used to have these Steenbeck machines, they called them.
Okay.
And it was like the top sections that say there's 300 feet of film here or whatever. And it would roll over to here where it would be take-up reel. And then below that, the next reel would be the sound reel, which is the same length that would roll.
Yeah.
And you had these individual things, and you'd get to where you want, you get the scissors out.
That's right.
But it's like baking a cake. It's all ingredient.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to do the whole.
Every little. Yeah. And
So
baking
then
is
you-
a lot more. Sorry, baking is much more intricate than
Yeah.
just cooking.
And then you had a sound. Then you had the soundtrack. Then you had the special effects track. You had the voice, the special effects, and I think there were 4 of these things. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just intoxicating, the whole thing.
Yeah.
You
I know it. Yeah. Dialogue, ambient sound.
Yeah.
Score.
Yeah.
And
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then you had these
Sound
nails.
effects.
So all these film was perforated, as you know.
Yeah.
So you have these racks with all these nails in them, little nails. So you cut the film and you put it in that hole. Cut a section out, put it in
The manual way.
Yeah. It was, it was sort of cool. But
it is really cool to look back, and I mean, people still shoot on film, right? I mean, the most hard to acquire camera in the world, like one of the most state-of-the-art cameras in the world right now, is the IMAX film camera that they used to shoot Oppenheimer and to shoot Jordan Peele's Nope.
Yeah.
And those two, Christopher Nolan, Jordan Peele, and other filmmakers are really leading the way with continuing to develop film cameras, and maybe not necessarily making them more available to young filmmakers like myself, but it is helping because, I mean, look at what happened with Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's newest movie. Like, most theaters in the world don't have the capability, they didn't have the capability of showing it the way that he intends for it to be shown on 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter film. Most theaters are digital, and they're lit up with digital screens, and it's completely different. And it's like almost as though we went through like a revolution. And honestly, what's really funny is the person who kind of started that was George Lucas with his Star Wars trilogy from the 90s and 2000s, the prequel trilogy,
DreamWorks,
which are the ones that I grew up on, and I know a lot of people that are my age grew up on, and of course the originals, I love them with all my heart as well. But the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, those 3, he shot those on digital. Actually, he shot 2 and 3 on digital. He shot The Phantom Menace on film, and shooting those movies digitally back then allowed for him. He used a lot of green screen. It was actually blue screen, but he used a lot of green screen for his backgrounds and effects and all that different stuff. It made it much easier for him to use the footage, but at the same time, it opened up a new method of filmmaking up to an entire generation of wannabe and upcoming filmmakers. Because digital,
Yeah.
exactly. And so digital became absolutely prominent. Everybody, people are getting digital camcorders and stuff. Like, it became the norm, and all the theaters are like, oh, thank God we can throw away these things that, like, you know, these huge film reels,
catch
like,
fire.
geez,
Catch fire.
exactly, stuff like that. And so with Christopher Nolan, it was with Dunkirk in 2017. He's like, yeah, this baby's on film. Are you guys ready for that? And all the theaters were like, no, we're not.
That explains why it's an IMAX and
Yes.
Showcase in Randolph. I couldn't figure out exactly why is it here, and it's because they have a film projector.
That's right. So I saw Oppenheimer there as well, Randolph IMAX Theater. But so they actually have like 3 or 4 different versions of the film that you can see. Which, I mean, there's the digital version, which you would see at like an AMC that doesn't have like the capability of showing film, right? That is pretty common. But then you have it in IMAX, but still digital, I believe, which is what I saw it in. It's actually not showing it from the film reel. It is still IMAX, but it's not the film reel. And then there's the 35 millimeter showings and the 70 millimeter showings, which it's a super deep rabbit hole to dive into to really learn about all these things. I did a little bit, but it's way deeper than my knowledge. Anyway, there are only a handful of theaters in the country that can show the movie in that way, in that true 35 or 70 millimeter.
Which version do you recommend?
If you could see the 70 millimeter IMAX version, that is the premier way of seeing the
That's
film.
what I saw.
But there's only however many theaters in the United States that show it. You know, it's like
Randolph.
Hello, welcome to Easton News. I'm Abby Kitchenham.
And I'm Jack Ryan, and together we bring you everything you need to know about Easton, including politics.
The annual town election is scheduled for Saturday, April 22nd, 2023.
Community events.
Be Inspired. Counseling presents a parent and child coping workshop centered around a new year and new beginnings.
And sports.
Pressure builds diamonds, so we live by that every day of practice, going into every game.
With APCSM guest segment Pet of the Week.
Hi, I'm Katie with the Animal Protection Center, and today we have a little Iris.
With help from special correspondent Wyatt Fain. Join us
for Easton News.
Playing 6 o'clock, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of For the Love of Words. After a 3-year hiatus, join me, John Holgerson, and
Priscilla Almquist Olsen,
as we interview poets and musicians. Could you give the audience a little summary of your background as a child?
When I turned 7 or so, we were car bombed. That stuck out.
And have them share their love of words.
Sometimes I wonder, do you ever think of me?
A thin broth of moonlight caught in the trees spreads across the garden brush, so one side of every stick shimmers while the other sides melt into one another, a mass grave of cherry, pear, and pine.
For the Love of Words at 7 p.m. on Thursdays. Hi, sports fans. Easton Community Access Television, that's ECAT, your place for all of our Ames high school sports. How about football, hockey, basketball, soccer, gymnastics, swimming, wrestling, lacrosse, field hockey, and more. Join us on Comcast 97 and Verizon Channel 23.
Here we go. My name is Harrison Young, and after 13 years of talk show experience, I seek to bring you the best in interviews with some of the very best guests around, including, and here we are, experts.
I've seen thousands of demons actually come out of the mirror one time.
Wow. Musical guests and artists.
If I say how I feel, would you really listen?
And interesting characters of all types.
I threw that kid across the classroom. Look, he didn't try that ever again.
Wow. Join me at Topic Time on your Easton cable station anytime they want to play it. And what I understand, that's quite a few times a day. And I love it.
In 2023, Easton is a tight-knit community of 25,000 people. But with the hustle and bustle of modern life, it's easy to forget our past. A time when Easton's population was 6,000.
Everybody knew who everybody
and
was.
And there was respect.
there was respect for everyone.
When kids enjoyed great freedom and independence.
Everybody was poor at today's standards, but we all were in the same boat and we enjoyed life.
So join me, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, as I explore what makes Easton so very special with some of its lifetime residents.
I think Easton has so much to offer, and if you're living in a community, you have to know it.
Watch Growing Up in Easton Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Friday at 9 p.m. See you then.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Weinstein.
And I'm Meredith Keach.
And we're realtors.
With Coldwell Banker in Easton.
And wannabe movie stars.
Pretty much. I'd actually prefer to be a rock star.
Well, yeah.
Do not hit panic.
The market is not crashing. It smells of stardom.
It does smell like stardom in here.
Yeah.
But it's very important as you age to have women friends, because women are always your support system.
I believe they had showings, yes. They have the IMAX.
That was amazing. I went to the show at Randolph at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon.
Really?
I said, there's going to be about 10 people here. The place was sold out.
Completely.
Completely sold out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love it because, you know, and you had
Oppenheimer?
Barbie released.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer. And you had Barbie releasing right alongside it, and people were flocking to see that. And it was like the movies were
people
big again, you know?
see the
like-
big screen. People,
Exactly.
I watched my little Netflix so many times. You get saturated.
Yes,
You want to see the big screen.
yes. I'd love to talk about that because it's become so normal in the past few years that, you know, before 2020 even, like, I mean, we had all the streaming services coming up and everybody was investing into streaming services and, you know, cut the cord, no cable, it's time for the streaming services to take over. And a lot of directors and big filmmakers and producers were signing with those streaming services or work, you know, for example, Christopher Nolan was working with Warner Brothers. They had HBO Max, so they're HBO, so he's, you know, going to make his movies. Anyway, that created this culture of we watch movies on our phone, we watch movies on our iPad, we watch movies on our TV screen, on our laptop, all these different things. And even though sometimes maybe the picture's good, you know, I have a 4K projector or a 4K monitor, I meant to say. That's great, but like, how's the audio on that thing, right? Like when you're in a theater, the audio is all engulfing. It is encapsulating. It is
it's a
it's
big
like
piece of the action.
Yeah, some say that it's 50%. You know, is the sound, and so it definitely, not that that's the only thing, but also just that huge screen and just getting that whole theater experience. I really love, and I didn't realize how much of like a purist I am for that until the past year or two after the pandemic and people started actually going back to the theater.
Yeah.
I got an AMC Stubbs member pass, and I go all the time.
I go to the Dedham Community Theater, you know, downtown Dedham.
Okay, I've never been.
Well, they have 2 screens.
Okay.
And the guy was telling me there the other day that 2 months ago was the first time in 40 months that they'd made any money. Wow. I mean, fortunately, he owns the building and all that stuff, so he could keep it going. It had, because of COVID, that sort of thing, people had gotten out of the habit. But the Miracle Club, did you hear the movie, The Miracle Club, about these ladies that go to Lourdes?
To Lourdes? No.
It's in France.
Well, it's where
it's where miracles happen. Where
the Jesus or Mary,
Mary,
or whatever it is,
yeah,
appear. You know,
right?
Oh. And so it's been a big deal for millions of people.
Yeah, and people go there to be healed.
Okay.
So
so they made a film about it.
Yeah. Well, there's 100 films, but this is about this. Laura Linney is in it, and this why I'm talking about this so much is that Laura Linney and this Miracle Club at the Dedham Community Theater, and this is a big movie, had the biggest numbers nationally. In other words, the distributor keeps track of how many people. That's why they sell you tickets. And this Dedham Community Theater was the #1 in the country for this very good movie.
Wow, that's
so that's hope for the
wild.
future. Yeah, for the little Dedham Community Theater, which gets squashed.
So do you also go to Randolph?
Yeah, Randolph has amazingly some good films. I mean, they have the usual slam bam things, but there's some. I was surprised. Usually, there's 1 or 2 shows that there are very.
But Dedham is much more
It's sort of art,
More
independent.
independent
Yeah,
and
that's their
artsy.
niche.
The impact that the theater experience and how people aren't going anymore, it reaches out so far that they don't make the movies that they used to make anymore because they can't. Because now it's like you can rather make a $250 million blockbuster feature film, like not like you, but you know the studio puts one together because that is supposed to be like that is their best chance at making money, their best chance at being profitable. Rather that or put together a movie that is shoestring budget, you know, and they're just or horror movies because horror movies always sell, and they've realized
And
that
you can
that
do
is
them on
the
cheap.
one exactly.
Like that, they took that handheld thing. Remember that about 10 years ago?
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Just blew it off the charts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Blair
yeah.
Witch Project.
Yeah.
Yep, completely changed the landscape of what was possible
Low
with
cost,
film, you know?
right? Low cost
Exactly.
productions.
And
People
we
really
hear-
thought they were dead, right? Like people thought they were not alive.
But we hear all the time of low budget movies which just take off and make millions.
They do.
You know?
They
Yeah.
do. Look at
I mean, it's not-
Reservoir
it's-
Dogs by Tarantino, right? I mean, that one was low budget, and he believed in it. The studio wasn't sure, but he believed in it, and it.
Well, you just never know. What about that film about Keanu Reeves? What's that one that Keanu Reeves is in?
John Wick.
John Wick.
Yeah, that one
Yes.
started pretty modest as well,
They
right?
had no expectations for it
Yeah.
at all, and now they're making $600 million net at
Yeah.
Lionsgate.
Yeah.
It's a massive film
But you just
franchise.
never
And there's
know.
a fourth one in play.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean it's
And they got spin-off series and so many different things. It's one of their biggest moneymakers at Lionsgate, you know? Lionsgate? Lionsgate.
And
Lionsgate,
my son Eric is working with the screenwriter of that.
Is that right?
of John Wick.
Yeah,
Wow.
Kirk Coolstad, and his parents, his lineage is Norwegian, and of course, Eric's part Norwegian, and so
Almquist.
No, Olsen.
Olsen. 1 out of 2, and I blew it.
It was a 50-50
Well,
shot.
when it's S-E-N, Olsen,
Oh, I got it,
O-L-S-E-N, it's either Norwegian or Danish. When it's
Oh.
S-O-N, it's Swedish. So, in fact, Eric was invited by a Norwegian horror film festival some years back in near Trondheim in Norway.
Oh, wow.
And for one of his movies, I think it was The Intruder, I'm not sure, one of the horror movies, with the director. And yeah, so he's very excited to be working with this guy. They're co-writing.
That's awesome.
Not John Wick, but something
No,
else.
yeah, but still, that's a big, it's a big name of a big franchise, and that tends to happen too, right? Where they see like the name, the writer of, and this massive, the director of, and that can be a selling point because you know, like I
And
said,
you know what? I never saw the John Wick series. I never did.
I never have either. I got to start.
Okay,
I got
so
to start.
Eric started. So I've seen the first season, and there is.
or like the first movie.
I mean, the
Something
first
about-
movie.
No,
The
you're
first
good, you're good,
movie.
you're good.
Yes.
Yep.
Something about his daughter is lost, and he goes and tries to find her or gets
That's-
revenge on something.
That's Liam Neeson,
Yeah.
the Taken.
The Taken.
Movies.
Oh, yeah.
No, with
And-
John Wick, I'm pretty sure. See, I haven't seen them either. There's a long list of films that it's quite embarrassing that I have not seen. You know, considering.
And my
the
son is
alternative movies.
speaking of that one. He's working with another guy. They're doing a television series on what happened to Liam Neeson. You know, what happened with the Taken after the end of the Taken. In other words, it's a sequel which continues on. So he's writing screenplay with that one too.
Yeah, they've kind of been.
I maybe I
beaten
shouldn't be
that
giving
one.
away all this info.
They've-
Sorry, Eric.
Well, I mean, they've made how many Taken movies have they made? I mean, they just keep taking Liam Neeson's daughter. Like they should probably
and Liam
stop doing
Neeson is
that.
going to be in Liam Neeson's daughter's. Liam Neeson himself is going to be in this television series,
Ooh.
but not playing himself.
He's been in some great movies.
And he's consultant on it.
What was the one about that Jewish people in World War II?
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List.
Oh yeah,
That movie
Schindler's
was-
List.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Well, so Priscilla, this has been fun. I have a feeling we're heading towards the 1 hour limit
We
here.
are. We're actually
Might be.
1 minute to the 1 hour. My goodness, what a sense you have. Willie.
Time flies when you're having fun, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And we're always
Where did
having
it fly
fun on
away
the
to?
Film Connection.
So everybody
Joe.
out there, it's going to go worldwide on social media. So all of you guys out there, connect.
October 15th.
And the
yep.
name of the movie is?
The Innkeeper, coming out on October 15th on the internet. Check it out. It's going to be everywhere. You're not going to be able to miss it. It's going to be on ECAT as well. So
if you
make
have
sure to check it
22
out on there.
minutes, and we all can squeeze 22 minutes in.
That's right. And
Check it
support our
out.
local filmmakers, which is the mantra of the Film Connection. Right?
Yes, it is.
Support your local film.
Take it away, Bill.
Well, this has been great fun. Thank you, Joe Taft and my co-host Priscilla Almquist Olsen. And we'll join you next month for another visit with a local filmmaker or a filmmaker from a Zoom connection, perhaps in Hollywood. What's the name of your son?
Eric Olsen.
Eric Olsen.
Actually, he's here in town.
Is he?
Yes.
Does he want to come see the movie?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. I don't know if he's going to be here that long, but yeah.
Well, we'll get it to him.
Okay.
So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next month. Okay.
Take care.